Probably the best place to start is to benchmark your church or ministry against what you already see in this report. Specifically, how do your revenue sources and growth rates compare to others like you? And then, how do you explain any difference? In short, review your giving sources. Examine each of the 3 streams of giving that we discussed in our opening minutes from that pizza pie in Table 1 of the State of Giving report. Is the mix where you think it should be? Where are you in terms of establishing or maybe even growing an endowment? How are you doing at planned giving? In short, where do you need to expand or improve?
This is not an exercise to do alone. Work on it as a senior staff or board. In addition, find peer organizations and network with them to share best practices. Going one step further, this might be a good time to seek professional advice outside your normal circles, from board members and their connections of expertise, professional fundraisers, and the like.
By the way, if you don't know of any peers, we have a great tool. You can go to ecfa.org/members, sort by primary ministry category, maybe things like evangelism, discipleship, whatever category you fall into, and find others that are about your size. Reach out to them. There's contact name on the website. Feel free to reach out and make a connection.
And here's another suggestion. Realize that now is a great time to ask your givers to give. In other words, don't be shy about asking this year. And don't just appeal for cash gifts. Consider asking for donation of stock, for example, given the stock market's strong growth in 2020 and 2021.
Warren, I would also mention cryptocurrency gains, the buzzword for 2021. This has seen some great gains in the last year. We recently did an entire webinar on how a church or ministry can receive donations of Bitcoin and the like. Or you can also work with donors who have a donor advice fund to grant funds to your church or ministry. This is a rapidly growing sector of charitable giving.
Or don't miss naming the tax incentives for giving that are slated to expire at the end of 2021. A recent issue of our Nonprofit Pulse and Church Pulse e-newsletters suggested a tax incentive letter that you might adapt in reaching out to your givers. That document is part of the handouts package for today's webinar. Or you could invite givers to make a qualified charitable distribution directly from their IRA. There may be a significant tax benefit for people aged 70 and a half and upward to make a qualified charitable distribution from their IRA. For more details, see the tax incentives letter that we just mentioned.
Also, realize that now is a great time to plan for the future. You were likely in response mode during the pandemic, although becoming quite creative in your approaches to ministry. Now, how has your context changed coming out of the pandemic? What will stay with you, such as maybe virtual fundraising dinners? Or what did you do during the pandemic that needs to end going forward? Were there plans you had 2 years ago that you shelved because of the pandemic? Should you pick them up? Should you go back to major donors with something specific to ask for? Lots of questions, but here are some other specific ideas as you plan for the future. Well, 1, build cash reserves, remembering that cash reserves are easier to build during the good times. And number 2, eliminate debt. If you have excess cash, consider eliminating the debt completely, or maybe consider refinancing at a lower interest rate. Next, plan a future project or consider expanding your ministry. And the last one I'd mention is maybe updating your equipment or other energy hogs that add to your carbon footprint.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more finance, governance, and fundraising news and insights for your church or ministry.